Hello and welcome again to another Rolling with My Special Friends podcast. Today, guys, you're going to get excited. We've got a guy that travels around fishing all over this country and does it all with an injury that I'm going to let him tell you about. He's been in the Bassmaster Opens for 13 years. He's fished in tournaments all across this country. He's fished in a group called the Paralyzed Veterans of America, where he was the Angler of the Year twice in that organization. So if that doesn't tell you enough, I'm going to dive in with him, and we're going to hear his story and let him be able to tell you everything else that he's gotten into. Mr. Ron, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, doing just fine now that I get to hang out with a professional fisherman.
Yeah, it's been a while since we got to hang out, hasn't it? I don't know about the professional fisherman part.
Oh, yeah. No, it's an honor every time I get to speak to you. It seems like every time I talk to you, you've won something else. So you're winning money left and right, and you're going to buy me a boat one of these days, all this money you're winning?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I'm going to get me into one day, too.
Well, there you go. So let's, for these people out here listening, let's just dive straight off into this thing, both feet. If I told people what we just said, that you're out there traveling around with an injury and doing all this fishing, tell people what that is.
You know, just the tournament series and stuff that we fish on the Bassmaster Opens, we traveled. They used to have them on the eastern coast, so we'd travel from New York to Florida. I mean, I live in Florida, so it's close at home. Thank goodness for those. But doing it from a chair is a little different, I guess. Just have to go about things a little different and, take it a little slower, but we make it work. I've got, truck set up for me to drive. The boat's pretty much standard boat. It doesn't have the hot foot in it. That's the only difference. I just drive it with the hand throttle that they put in them and just travel all over the country and fish.
Now, so to get people on the page with us here and into, your life and dig in a little bit deeper, tell us how this injury happen? Were you born with it?
No, I had a coarctation of the aorta is what the medical term for it is when I was born. And when I was 5 years old, they did open heart surgery on me. So to correct the coarctation of the aorta. And when they did the surgery, things took a little longer than expected, and they left the blood flow to my spinal cord cut off too long, and it ended up paralyzing my legs.
Is that when that happened, is that something that they say that was correctable, or it was just, oh, we made a mistake and our bad?
It was, oh, we made a mistake, my bad.
Wow. Now, and that I'm sure since that obviously happened and at 5 years old, you don't have a lot of recollection of the things and the details and stuff that went on there. Give us, in that younger age when that kind of thing happened and you were growing up, did you really feel any challenges at a younger age trying to learn how to deal with that?
I guess a little bit. I've always said too that if it was going to happen, I'm kind of glad it did happen at a younger age, because I think I never knew any different, like you said. So I basically just, through help with my parents, they never kind of slowed me down and all that stuff. They, pretty much always told me that I could do anything wanted to do, just do it a little different, basically. So just had to adapt from there at a younger age. And I think personally later on in life, it would probably be a lot tougher to deal with, I guess. I assume it would be. I've always thought that anyway. I've kind of used that for motivation, kind of to deal with it, I guess, that I didn't have to deal with it later on after knowing walking for so long or whatever.
Now, when you were younger and learning how to overcome this challenge, what were the things you got into? Did you do sports at a younger age?
Not anything like organized. We, friends would throw football. We'd play basketball and baseball, stuff like that. Always did that stuff. But my dad, always took me hunting and fishing. So I kind of, just always did the hunting and fishing thing. And as I got older, I was like, that's something, that I can do from a chair, is, the fishing side of it, and tournament anglers and stuff. And, I met you I was fairly young when I met you at, doing some of the tournaments and stuff around and all that. And I'm like, we can do this, and it doesn't really matter about the chair.
Right. No. And that's what I've always loved about watching you and definitely a lot of those PVA guys, is they've learned to just forget the injury. I've talked to several that said a lot of times they even forget they have an injury because they're just out there, going at it so much they just don't think about it.
That's it. You get out there in the boat and you're, fishing and just enjoying everything just from being in the outdoors. It kind of it's very, very relaxing. And to be able to do it professionally, from guiding to tournaments and stuff, is a fun way to make a living.
All right, so now we're going to walk people through some of these things that we talked about earlier, and you really give us some details on that. You just brought up one, and let's go into it. Guiding fishing, okay? So if I'm a guy and I'm going to take a trip and I'm coming down to see you, tell me how a guide process works.
I guide at Bienville Outdoors, which is formerly Bienville Plantation. You would call and book a trip through that, and if you wanted to fish with a certain guide, we have several guides on our list and all, but if you wanted to fish with me, you just ask for me, and I would be there on those days and times you wanted to be there, and we'd go to some phosphate lakes and catch some fish.
All right. Now, number one is I wouldn't want to fish with any other guide but you. I don't want some other random person. So tell me, what are we expecting when we come down there? Do we catch all the big ones? Is that what your specialty is? It's just the big ones?
I wish it was that easy. I wish it worked like that. In those phosphate lakes, we manage them very well and all, and there's definitely some big ones in there, but it's still fishing, so it's hard to make them bite sometimes.
Oh yeah, no, I can understand that part. Now, tell me about the PVA. I understand that the Paralyzed Veterans of America, what that stands for, and you won the Angler of the Year twice. So tell everybody out there listening what it was like to be on that trail.
The Paralyzed Veterans Tour is basically sponsored and ran by the PVA, Paralyzed Veterans. You don't have to be a veteran to fish it. Obviously, I wasn't being disabled at 5 years old, so I wasn't able to be a veteran or, have that opportunity. But anybody with a disability can fish that tour. And they're, they have people to load you in the boats to help. They have boat captains. You can bring your own boat. You can, go as a non-boater. It's all the same either way. It puts everybody kind of on all the disabled anglers on a level playing field. So if it's somebody with a new disability, they can, come out and compete in a bass tournament just like any of the rest of us. And it's really cool to see some of the newer guys coming back from overseas and all, when they come back and, they catch their first fish from being in a chair and all that, just being around that's pretty cool. But there's the tour's changed a little bit since I fished it. I haven't had time to fish it much in the last few years, but there's several different tournaments across the country that you can fish and compete for the Angler of the Year through a point system with that.
Well, I think that's pretty cool that they, like you said, bring guys back from overseas and just veterans in general, getting them out there fishing and get them to do something, because I think it's kind of like what you and I have already talked about. It helps them forget about that injury.
Absolutely, it does. And to see, people that have dealt with it, more in life, in longer times and all, they know that they can adapt, and it kind of gives them the idea, to try different things and all that. I really enjoy that part of it, especially.
Now, if we're going to get in, we're going to dive into this Bassmaster Open stuff, and 13 years of doing it. So a lot of people out there are not familiar with the Bassmasters and the fishing, and I know it's a great sport and it's covered all across the country, but we have a lot of listeners that don't know about competitive tournament fishing. So tell somebody, give us the gist of how does that work. How many fish can you catch in a day? What do you have to do with the fish? How do you keep them alive? Give us all that information.
Yeah, the Bassmaster Opens, they have 3 divisions. They have Southerns, Northerns, and Centrals now. And there's 3 tournaments in each division. And they're scattered, all over different regions, those regions of the country. It's a 5-fish limit. You cull out, when you catch your 5th fish, you can keep fishing, and you catch, your 6th fish, and it's bigger than one of the ones you've got in your live well. You take it out and take the small one out and put your biggest one in and keep your 5 biggest in the live well and keep them alive the best you can all day. And then weigh in at a certain time, whatever your check-in time is.
Now, for those people out there listening as well, in that tournament day, we obviously, we're talking to you, and you have to fish a little bit different, obviously, than everybody else out there. How, if you're going to walk us through this, Ron just woke up and he's getting ready for a fishing tournament. What's the process?
Well, depends on if the boat's hooked up or not. First, we go hook the boat up, and like I said, I've got a truck equipped to, for me to drive and all that stuff. And it's the extended cab. So I actually put my wheelchair, I fold it up and put it behind the seat so I can keep it out of the weather and all that. But then we go to the ramp, and the Bassmaster Opens are also a draw tournament. So they draw out a co-angler to go with us. And that was one part I forgot to throw in there. So they'll have somebody in the boat with every competitor. Just that you're not fishing against that co-angler. They're actually fishing against other co-anglers, and you're fishing against the pro anglers. But got the boat hooked up, go to the boat ramp, get out of the truck, wheel around the truck, make sure all the straps are off, the plugs in, all that good stuff. Most of the time, I'll either get the co-angler to help with my chair and put it in the truck so I don't keep it in the boat in the way or whatever. That way they've got room or whatever, and I just kind of, maneuver on the boat, scoot across the boat and run the boat from there. But if I don't have a co-angler with me, I can back the boat down, just let the winch off the trailer a little bit, and preferably a dock right there, or pull it to the side with a rope to beach it to get into the boat and all that. If I'm by myself, I will fish. I'll have my chair in the boat just so I've got it there to get to and from the truck kind of thing after we get done fishing.
Right. Okay. So now in the mornings, tell us what's it like preparing yourself. I know you just said about taking the boat and all. Tell us about preparing yourself. Is it a extra process about you getting food and drinks and all that stuff together?
Usually I do all that the night before. I'll go ahead and put everything in the cooler. Either my wife will, help me with, she'll probably make me sandwiches normally. I hate making sandwiches, and she makes the best sandwiches anyway. So she'll make me sandwiches. She'll help me get ice in the boat, drink, stuff like that. A lot of times if she gets to go to these tournaments, and she's so good at, helping me get everything and prepare everything and make sure I'm, can just focus on fishing and doing what I do out there and being safe on the water and all.
Well, that's pretty special to have somebody like that in your life. So how long has she been around?
We've been married for 18 years, been together for 20.
Wow.
She's been putting up with me for a long time.
20 years of putting up with you. That's got to be a special lady.
Yes, she is. Ain't no doubt.
Now, you just talked about her helping making sandwiches. Or anything else that she's good at? Is she good with helping fix tackle?
Oh, she says she isn't, but she helps me so much in so many ways with doing everything that we do for the tournaments, from getting the boat ready to washing the boat. She'd rather wash the boat than me do it, because she's more meticulous about it than I am and keeps it cleaner than I do. But she helps me so much. It's amazing to, just to see all the help she does for me in the whole day and life period.
That's pretty special to have somebody like that in your life and in your circle, I call it, because everybody needs a circle of friends that helps them get through life and, help you focus every day and get inspiration from. And she sounds like a great person that's helping push you along as you go. Yes,
she is. And you were talking about the tackle and stuff. We actually got the stuff to start pouring baits and pouring like plastic stuff and all that. And she's learning that and getting very good at that. So she's actually making some of the baits that I fish with. And, I pour some of them too, but she's better at mixing the colors and all that stuff than I am. So
wow,
that's pretty cool to be able to catch fish on baits that we've made ourselves too.
So are we in the future here going to see Ron's baits?
I don't know if we'll get that big with it, but it's still fun to do.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like you're headed in a direction that we may be seeing some bait and tackle shop pop up somewhere in Live Oak, Florida.
Hey, one day you never know. You never know where life's going to take us.
So tell me now, you brought up the tackle part of it just a little bit, because there's a lot of people out there listening that don't understand about professional fishing and tackle. Tell us how you get your gear ready to go for the day?
For the day, I'll actually just sit in the boat and I'll reline reels. After you fish with them for a while, they need new line. It'll get brittle or whatever, and I'm pretty set on relining them after a tough tournament day, especially after I know I fished hard with a certain couple of rods and reels. I'll put line on them, retie, baits, and just get everything organized again in the boat. I started out the day with my tackle fairly organized in all the boxes and all in the boat, and in the storage system that we have set up in most bass boats. But at the end of a tournament day, it's kind of organized chaos when I get done, pretty much. So I have to straighten everything out for the day, and I normally do all that. If I'm just beginning a tournament, I'll do all that ahead of time at the house, in the garage, and get everything set up. And that way I know where everything's at and can get to it and make the best of my time on the water. Because in a tournament day, you've generally got about 8 hours. And, that doesn't include running time from one spot to the other, out on the lakes or rivers or whatever. So
now tell us all out there listening again that don't understand about professional fishermen. If you're fixing to go into this big old humongous lake and go fishing, how do I know what the fish want to eat? How do I pick a lure?
Sometimes that's a good question for me when I've been out there for a week. A lot of it's watercolor. You can kind of start with that. And if there's, largemouth or smallmouth in their spots, it's just kind of a learning process and all that. You kind of just, through the years learning all of it and just knowing how to look at the water and read it and all. And that's something I'm not very good at sometimes, but water clarity and stuff has a lot to do with bait colors and bait types too.
That's what I was about to ask. For somebody out there listening that's watching, if I'm going to go to a Walmart and buy me a color of a worm or something to go fishing, how do I know which color to buy?
If you're fishing something that's got like clear water, something more natural, more subtle, if you're getting, if you're in some darker stained water and stuff, you can get a brighter color, something like that, or something that stands out a little better so the fish can see it or feel the vibration, whether it be a spinner bait or a bladed jig, something like that.
Okay. Well, that's going to give me a little bit better idea about knowing because I'm trying to learn from you. I want to go actually catch a fish one day, so I want to make sure I know what I'm doing. Now, when you're out there on this pro trail that you're fishing with the opens, walk us into the life of how accommodating are other people out there? Are you looked at like, okay, what's he doing here? Or are they very, doors open trying to help you?
For the most part, it's doors open. I've had a couple of people that kind of, they first meet me and they're like, okay, we're not sure how this is going to go. And, after a little while, it kind of gets, smoothed out and everything's good. I even with guiding, I've had that, I meet somebody at the lodge at Bienville or something, and they kind of, you can just tell in their facial expressions and just their, body language that they're, a little skeptical. But then, we get in the boat and everybody's kind of, joking around and laughing and catching a few fish. Hopefully everything, kind of evens out and they're like, okay, this is good now.
So once you've caught them a fish or they've caught a couple, then their guard lets down and they go, okay, this is just fishing. It doesn't matter. He's in a chair.
Exactly. Pretty much that's pretty much the way to put it.
Well, and that's the way it should be. What about when you're on the road and you're physically traveling? Let's just say you're going from where you live in Florida up to Washington, D.C. to fish a tournament. Tell us, is that quite an adventure? I mean, do you make these road trips by yourself or your wife goes or what?
A lot of times or not a lot of times. A few times I do it by myself. Sometimes Vicky gets to go. But I've also got a couple of guys that I'm friends with that fish the opens, and a lot of times we rent houses together, and they're from down in Florida too. So we kind of meet up on the road somewhere and we kind of caravan almost to the houses and all. But it can be an adventure sometimes. We've changed tires on the side of interstate. We've, had trouble getting fuel at times. I remember when we were in Virginia a few months ago, the pipeline got hacked or whatever, and we got into a fuel shortage. So that was fun trying to figure out how we were going to get home, because we were in the middle of a tournament when all that happened. And but it can be an adventure, but it goes pretty smooth most of the time.
Well, and I would think with any adventure in life, as far as a profession, that you're going to have some hurdles. You're going to have to jump every now and then. So I think that comes with the territory some. Now, let's back up just a little bit from the professional fishing and let's get back into to Ron's world. When you were coming along, and even now, how supportive through all this have your parents been?
That probably helped me more than anything I would imagine. And I didn't really think about it until the last few years and all, and just thinking about what all we've done and what we do still is my parents never really said that I couldn't do anything or don't try to do this, because I got bumps, bruises, cuts, scrapes, just like any other kid growing up. We were always doing something outside. We were always in the garden or hunting or fishing, and like I said, playing sports with friends, just in the backyard. Nothing organized sports per se, because in the town, I live in a small town, there wasn't really anything there. Heck, I was the only one that I remember in my school that was, in a chair or anything. So growing up, there wasn't many other people around. So we just, did that stuff in the backyard and played and all that. So my parents never really said, they didn't try to keep me in a bubble, basically, to, keep me from getting hurt. They just let me be a kid and help me do stuff and just say, hey, we'll figure out a way to do this. We'll do it different, but we'll get it. We'll do it.
Well, and that's what I really love hearing, those stories of your parents that are out there trying to say, hey, if you want to do it, we'll figure out a way to make it happen.
And that's it. And that's what my parents always did. It wasn't, hey, we can't do that. It's let's see how we can.
Right. Now, let's step outside the fishing world for a minute. I heard you say hunting a minute ago. Do you what type of hunting do you enjoy?
I do a lot of deer hunting, whitetail deer mainly. Do a lot of that and on some property in Georgia and a little bit in Florida too.
Okay, I get those professional fishermen making all them big bucks. They own property everywhere, so we definitely want to be able to come hunt with Ron when we can. Now, tell us about the bucks. Have we killed a big one?
Killed some pretty decent ones, some in the 140-inch range and and around in that area. And those were actually in North Florida, so it's pretty big deer for North Florida. Not many people come to Florida to hunt deer, that's for sure, to hunt trophy deer like that anyway.
Oh, I can definitely tell you that, because I've been around and been a lot of places hunting myself, and 140-inch deer in Florida, that's like killing a moose.
Yes, it is. We're lucky in this part of the state where I live. There's a lot of farming goes on, and a lot of people started before, it got real popular. Everybody started managing deer and stuff like that. And we also have some mobility impaired hunts that we have for, disabled hunters and stuff that can come out and quota hunts that you can draw for. And they're on places that get hunted like 12 days a year, and it's just by the disabled hunters. So those hunts are pretty cool that the state puts on too.
Well, that's pretty special that the state is out there doing something like that. That really shows that they care.
Yes, it is. It's a really good thing. And I think there's probably 25 different hunts scattered all over the state of Florida, from West Florida out close to Pensacola all the way down in the Everglades and all. There's a lot of the mobility impaired hunts that they put on, and they're really good hunts in some really good areas. A couple of those big deer that I've killed have been in those hunts right here close to my house too.
Wow, that's pretty nice. Now, all right, we're gonna open this thing up and really expose Ron a little bit, and now tell us a funny story about Ron that most people wouldn't know.
Oh goodness, those are hard to come by. I don't know. I've been thinking of those and trying to think of something like that, and that's a toughie there. Yeah, I've had a couple of funny things besides being hooked in the hand and stuff happen guiding, I guess. It didn't really happen to me, but I had a guy one time that I was guiding that fell in the water, and it was like 25 degrees, 27 degrees that morning. Yeah. And he fell in right after we started, me and the other guy that was with us getting back out of the water. And he kept telling me, I'm fine. And I gave him my rain suit, anything to put on to keep him warm. And I kept on saying, man, we'll take you in and get you, we'll get you, some warm clothes. You can take a shower. You'll lose like 30 minutes of fishing time. He said, I came here to fish. I'm fishing. And a few minutes later, I could feel the whole boat shaking from him shivering. And I was like, man, come on, let me take you back to your cabin and let you. And he got actually a little mad at me. He's like, look, quit asking me. I'm not going in. We'll go in when we get done fishing. I'm fine. That's it. I was like, okay. That was one thing that, I was like, man, this guy's pretty dedicated. That was just something that happened that I've always told that story. And it's kind of funny to me that he was that dedicated to stay out there, because I was cold watching him.
Yeah, that's pretty tough guy to be out there dealing with 25 degrees. That's a tough deal.
Yes, it is. The reason he fell in, he actually tried to stand on the side of the boat on the gunnel, and it was covered in ice, and he slipped. The time he stood up there, he slipped.
He was asking for it then.
Yes, he was. But he took it well. Caught a bunch of fish too. So,
all right. So now tell us, we're gonna put you on the spot here. Tell us information of, if we're gonna try to get in touch with Ron. How do we get a hold of you? You got a website, a Facebook, an Instagram?
I've got Facebook and Instagram. They're Ron Ryals, Ryals. You can just look me up on either one of those. Feel free to message me through there. My phone number's on my Facebook page too. So if you want to call and talk fishing or whatever, give me a call too, or set up a guide trip at Bienville. You can also go on their website at bienville.com and, check out all the stuff out there. They have all different hunts and fishing stuff going on. And the new owners have really, taken a lot of steps toward making it a really cool place, like it has been in the past and all. It's really cool to see what all they're doing out there.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we're going to contact you on social media if we want to get a hold of you. You have a personal website?
I do not.
Okay.
I should build one, but I do not have one right now.
I was just trying to make sure. So when these people are out there trying to get a hold of you to come visit you. So on that Bienville plantation, if I'm got a person out here that's wanting to do a guide trip, you're saying go to their website?
Yeah, you can go to their website and feel free to call them. It's Bienville Outdoors, Bienville. And like I said, or if you look me up on my Facebook or Instagram page, my numbers are on there. Feel free to message me on there, and I can get you set up that way too.
All right. So now we're fixing to give you our signature question for this podcast, so we can wrap this thing up and put a nice little bow on it for everybody. When the day is called and it's Ron's turn, and you've left this great earth, when we read the book, the story of Ron Ryals, what do you hope people read?
I hope they say that that he tried to do did everything, tried to do it the right way, and didn't make a lot of people mad, hopefully. But that's the main thing. And just, hope that I, do everything right and, help a few people along the way. Hope that I can make an impact on a few people's lives, whether it be kids or, one of the disabled anglers, like we were talking about, something like that. Hope I can do that, and hope something like that will be said also.
Well, I can definitely say on my side of it, just knowing you and being around you and know the people that talk about you, that you most definitely have already done those things that you just said. You've been a great inspiration to a lot of people to see you out there on the road fishing. You've been a great inspiration to some of these professional anglers that tell me all the time, hey, I saw him at the Northern Open and he kicked my butt and took some money from me. So I said, yeah, you got to watch Ron, he'll get you. So I definitely want to thank you for being the inspiration you are. I also want to thank you for coming on the podcast and being part of what we're trying to do, and we want to get your message out there and inspire a few people, like you said.
Well, I appreciate it, Jim. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me on the show. It's going to be cool.
You are quite welcome. Well, we will hopefully talk to you soon in the future.
Yes, sir. Anytime. I'm here.
All right. Well, thank you.